First off, kindly subscribe and leave us a rating of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. So often having a mentor can help you navigate this life journey better. But not all mentors are good for you. Our conversation today focuses on how growth often leads to a shift in who you listen and look up to. We found that if you open a door for someone, they'll often walk out on their own.
Welcome to another episode of the Somebody's Son podcast, where biting your tongue is never allowed. Young men battle with the pressures of manhood every day. Each episode, we tackle topics that focus on worth, actions, and relationships. Our goal is simple: help men win the war with themselves.
Good stuff.
What's going on, man?
All is well, man.
Nice to see you.
All is well. Always good
brother,
to see you.
Brother. Oh, the double fist.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You gotta get on.
Right across the way, with it.
So we talked about, just catching up.
Yep.
We talked about mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he had mentioned that really got me thinking, he would mention the story about, mentors and, how essentially it could go wrong. Could you explain that for us and how that affected you?
So one of the reasons why I'm very skeptical of the label of a mentorship is I had an experience one time where there was a family friend, grew up together, and his father was a successful person in my hometown. And I always felt like the odd man out, the black sheep in the relationship. I don't think we were judged equally because our family dynamics were different.
Right.
And I think that it was more evident as I got older and reflected back than I was able to be aware of it in the moment.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
However, it's definitely shaped where I am today in my viewpoint on a few topics like mentorship, right? So go through life, I'm able to travel, advance my career, get a lot more polished. I was rough growing up a little bit, a little rough on the edges. But I'm a lot more polished now. And, my success has been able to be seen in my very small community. And we were in a situation where I saw him out and he was just kind of like, I groomed him up. He is who he is because of me. And I'm the reason why he X, Y, and Z. And I'm just like, man, you used to play me for, not having a father, or, just not going to public, not going to private school, being a public school kid. You judge me because of who my family was. And so now that I've been able to fight through all these barriers that I already know I had and that you condemned and you shunned, and now I'm shining, and you want to take all the credit for, like, you the reason why I'm walking in this building today, and it rubbed me the wrong way, and I really don't look for active mentorship in the sense that I don't like the title of it. I don't want to be in a situation where anyone can devalue or discredit the hard work I put in to get to where I am and the aspirations of where I want to go because they may have given me a piece of advice one day or whatever it is. Took me to Williamsburg for a day. Like I don't want those things to be held over my head and discredit the amount of work and energy that I put into who I am today.
No, I think that's fair. I think my response to that would be, a real mentor wouldn't do that though. Like I benefited from being in certain rooms that my performance, my work ethic, my last name did not earn. It's simply been based on the fact that someone thought enough about me to want to pour into my life. And I've benefited from that. And I'd even venture to say that the folks around me have benefited because it's like finding gold for the first time. Like when you find it, you want to run and tell your friends, hey, look, I found gold. And so I think that particular, I'm glad that you share it. I just think that particular example is not indicative of what real valuable mentorship
in an ideal sense. Because if they were a great mentor, you look for opportunities to sing their praises. You love to reference
or just to be
their
around
impact.
them.
And to bring it back to you and where you are now based on that experience. You don't look for formal mentorship. You don't look for that formal relationship. Can you honestly say though that you haven't had people in your life who've been informal mentors to you, or is it the case that you literally push those potential folks away because of that experience?
I don't push people away. I may speak their way. I never push anyone away. I'm very inviting. However, there are a few people that through my upbringing has been able to add value to my life, right? But when I look at how mentorship relationships, or at least that dynamic, is fostered, I don't have that consistency. I talk to my friends more than I talk to anyone that is a lot older than I am. I talk to my uncle once every 3 blue moons. It's very, very rare, and it's only about just working. How's the family doing? How's my little cousin doing? But I can't sit back and think of any individual that I talk to on a fairly consistent basis that is 5, 10, 15, 20 years older than I am in a way that I receive those seeds of greatness from. Yeah. I don't have that. And honestly, I don't feel like I'm lacking anything either, because when I look at myself and my peers, I can see there's the distinction between us, right? And I'm not saying better or worse, greater. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I can see where the shift in growth has happened, but I can't see now where I'm leaning on the advice or the mentorship of someone that's older than me, that looks like me, or that does not look like me, that I have to lean on for me to get where I am today.
I wouldn't say lean on. I'm glad you said that. I wouldn't say that the folks that have mentored me, it's something I've leaned on. I look at it as,
I would disagree.
And I love the fact that you said it hasn't prevented you from getting to the destination that you've been seeking. I look at my mentorships as like GPS. And they've been able to teach me how to navigate a lot. There's potholes and barriers that I've been able to avoid based on their wisdom. Now, some of them, I will agree with you. Some folks I talk to once every blue moon, and when I talk to them, they're still depositing. Yeah. And then there's a very select few that deposit on an ongoing basis. Yeah. And it'd be the funny thing about the folks that I speak to, the few, and the guy that comes to mind is a guy named Andre. He's older than me. His son is actually closer to my age.
Great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
I love Dre.
Yeah, so Dre never comes out to me and says, I am Donald's mentor. He never, but at my wedding, he pulled me to the side, and what he told me resonated far more than probably 90% of the people in the room. Not because I don't love those people in the room, but he's seen my struggle. He's connected with me in a way that is not judgmental, but it's also like, hey, let me give you the game. Like, where you're going. He's also told me, like, in my career, like, I've set very aggressive goals for myself in my career, whether it's through entrepreneurship or even through corporate life. And he's told me, slow down, like, enjoy it. Because if on the barometer of success, where you are right now, bro, you're knocking on the door of where you want to be. I don't want you to miss out on the value of the journey that you're on. Yeah. And to me, it be those little subtle things. He'll never just say, hey, yo, here's $10, go invest it in that stock right there, and it's about to balloon. It's very rare that it's those kind of situations. It's normally the ones where he pull me to the side and says, hey, man, like, do that with your son. I did this with my son, Jeffrey, and if you do that with your son, I guarantee you, long term. There was one thing he said, and I'll leave y'all with this. He said, you never know which moments your children are gonna remember. Like that mentor you talking about, he probably has no clue. You remember so many moments where he sunned you and made you feel like a black sheep. He don't know that. And he might, but he probably don't. So it's Dre telling me, be cognizant if you don't know, because you don't know what he's gonna remember, you gotta be that much more intentional with each moment. Yeah. That game right there is enough to last me a lifetime, because I'm always gonna be a father.
Yeah. See, and you know, I love that you said despite that experience and despite not having formal mentors, you get into the destination, right? Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Why? You're intellectually curious. You know how to leverage the internet, get the information you need, learn, grow, experiment, whatever. You are also intrinsically motivated. So you don't need someone behind you saying, go, 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 go.
Speak on it.
One of the things that I'm realizing, though, is that you can't go to the internet and necessarily find wisdom. And so if we learn from both revelation and experience, I'd prefer to learn from tried, tested, and true wisdom from someone who's experienced it, especially if they've gone through this trajectory or this journey in a body, in a form that's similar to mine, so that I can avoid those potholes and those pitfalls that you were referring to. And I even, we talked about mentorship in a previous episode, but one of the things that I realized is I've gone through some things because I've let go of some of the relationships that got me to where I was. And so I can feel it. I can feel both. And so, I don't know, I think because what God has for you is bigger than Dre, whoever, you're gonna get to where you need to be as long as you do what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
You know, as long as you have the faith and you put in the works. But it can be a much more pleasant journey with a brother or sister.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I see is that essentially what you're saying is, what I'm saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything like that, but you experienced everything and you don't feel like you're behind anybody who's had a mentor. You didn't have a formal mentor growing up in comparison to other people. And you're essentially on the same playing field with everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. But what I see is there's invaluable information and knowledge that you can gain from another person. And it doesn't have to be formal. Yeah. Like you could consider someone that you don't even know as a mentor based on the advice or the information that you learn from them. Mm-hmm. Like just watching their stuff or anything like that, right?
Yeah. That's the grafting concept. And Bishop Jakes talks about that. That's a great topic to get on, but we'll keep going. I don't want to interrupt you.
But to his point, I think it's certain things that you can learn and pick up a lot earlier. Don't look at it. You shouldn't look at it in comparison to other people who have mentors, but in comparison to where you are now and where you could be.
Optimizing you.
Exactly.
And I would argue,
I don't disagree. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'd argue Chris has had more mentors than he probably could name.
That's what I'm trying to
Because you go to the internet. Because you go to the internet.
I've been waiting for my moment.
Because Bishop,
I've been waiting to get to that point. Once y'all let the dust settle, because I want to say that the people that I look up to the most are the people that I cannot reach.
You don't even know them. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even know them.
You don't even know them. And it's informal.
It's very informal. And for me, I would be very hard pressed to find person that looks like me that I feel like I can get wisdom from that's older. I get a lot of my wisdom from lateral moves, from my closest friends, from my mother. But from a black man, you know who I look for? The people I would never be able to talk to.
Yeah, that's true.
That's unfortunate.
And also indirectly in the sense that he getting put on game and then putting you on the game.
And vice versa.
Yeah. And vice versa.
A lot of my real estate knowledge has been because of Chris.
Yeah.
And people, but before we go down that hole, I do want to touch on this because I think you pivoted to a very sweet spot we have to talk about. You just said a lot of the people that you've gained insight from or mentorship from have been people you can't reach.
Yeah.
That barrier and hurdle in itself is like we have a community of people, particularly men, who can't reach the very people they would benefit from.
Yeah.
And I want to go on record because I didn't know you were going to go there. That's the very reason we started this podcast.
Facts. That's the very reason we're doing this.
That's the very reason, because there's so many people out here, the pressures of manhood, the pressures of how do I navigate being a father, being a husband, getting into entrepreneurship, navigating corporate life. I can't reach the people who can help me the most.
Who have done it successfully.
So who's going to create that medium for people to be able to do that? So I'm glad you mentioned that.
But where's the balance? And the reason being is we had a conversation last week about how your pitch went with the education program you want to roll out in public schools. And you mentioned that you don't feel defeated by the feedback. You feel like it's going to be a difficult goal to achieve given the hurdles you have to cross.
Absolutely.
And what was my response was, it's a matter of scale.
Yeah.
You can have the same impact that you want to have in an entire school system with 1 kid, 2 kids, 5 kids. It's a matter of scale. And I think we have to make a conscious decision about what type of audience or population we want to reach and how impactful you can be. And the reason why I moved the way I move, and it was recently affirmed, is my behaviors, my small exchanges that I have with people from time to time, I've gotten feedback on how impactful it was to their lives. Yeah. And I know that there are people who look up to me. They've said it. They've said it. They didn't call me a mentor, but they've said it. They said, hey, I do this because of a conversation we had. I am motivated because of you. Yeah. I really was blind to that fact until the last few weeks. And I'm really appreciative of knowing that my character has been able to pay off and rub off other people's lives. But it's from a scale perspective, I'm not sure if I want the responsibility of being responsible for the entire community. I don't know if I want that responsibility.
And let's be realistic. How can you reach them on a very personal basis? That's why I think you get a lot of, I think, because a lot of people, like I said, the reason that we go to YouTube and watch people talk or, watch, information or speeches or whatever the case may be, is that's their way of mentorship in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say it's not really realistic for us to assume that somebody who, let's say, like I would say a mentor of mine would be like, I'm an investor, Warren Buffett. You know what I mean? Like I gained a lot of insights from him. But let's be realistic. How many people gained insights from him that he's actually, touched personally?
Yeah, well, I don't. So I think there's a difference between reach and personal touch. And I love how you talked about impact from a scalable perspective. I think ultimately it's the sum of many little things that have a big impact.
Mm-hmm.
And so if using the folks that you just said, you recently found out you had an impact on them, if the Chris Russell in Idaho or the Chris Russell in Phoenix or the Chris Russell in Sacramento is doing the same things they're supposed to be doing on that local environment,
Yeah.
then when they hear this podcast, it's reinforcing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same way your mentor didn't pull you to the side and give you the game the right way, but because of the internet, because you have the ability and the access to reach out to people that you don't have personal touch with, you've been able to navigate real estate better. I mean, folks like Don Peebles.
Yeah.
You've never met Don Peebles, but just because of his principles that he wrote in a book, that's governing the way you move, and it's governing the way people that are close to you in age have moved, which have had even more impact on you. So I don't think the responsibility will be placed on one person. That's what we didn't go down here, but this is some of the problems I have with the way people idolize Dr. King, because a lot of times they're looking for the next Dr. King. We don't necessarily need this one person front runner who's gonna bear all responsibility for creating impact in our society at scale. No, it's the sum of many little things. If Chris is doing what he's supposed to do, and Ali's doing what he's supposed to do, and Chris is doing what he's supposed to do, and G is doing what G's supposed to do, and Donald's doing what he's supposed to do, when you supplement that with their local churches and their local schools and their local fraternities and their local neighborhood watch and their local entrepreneurship clubs and their local Afro tech and tech clubs and all of those things together should be able to create the impact needed to shift communities forward. I think right now we have so many people trying to hit home runs.
Yeah.
I agree.
There's everybody trying to swing out the fence.
You just need to get on base.
And I'm like, bro, you realize we still score if we run the bases off hits, single hits, and bunts as if we hit a home run. We still score.
Yeah.
Woo! We still score. So that's why, let's be very clear. And we big up a lot of other podcasts just in the episodes we've shot already. And as the season progresses, I hope we continue. But folks like Jinx, Joe Budden, who else that we listen to? Don Peebles. Don Peebles' son does a great job on Instagram giving game in real estate. Earn Your Leisure. All of these dudes, man. Prince Donnell. Look, I'm glad they playing their part. We're going to play our part, and we're going to keep getting these base hits, bringing everybody home where they supposed to be. But we're not looking to hit home runs.
Interesting point. So we definitely want to create an impact, and we're not trying to hit a home run. We're going to be part of the equation of that sum that equals to the progression that we need. However, who's listening?
That's true.
Who's listening? Because I think that there is a level, while there is a certain wonderful push for Black excellence through entrepreneurship, through Black love, which is something I really want to get into this season, is Black love, through just anything, just in general, just progression of people. There is which I believe to be a systematic distraction that's in place. And the same tool that we can use to reach those masses, to reach those individuals, to find the Donald Knights in Idaho and to find the Ali's in Phoenix, those same tools that we can use to find those people and reach those people are the same platforms that we are most distracted from. And how do you fight through the noise?
Oh, that's a great segue. Yes. Let's definitely tackle that in the next one.
How do you fight through the noise?
Let's tackle that in the next one. That's huge. We take 5 minutes?
I think so.
Is that cool?
Man.
I like where you about to go. I like where you about to go.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Somebody's Son podcast. We encourage you to share this episode with a friend. And remember, on this path called life, you are not alone. Thank you for watching. Until next time.
She liked the way that I finessed her. She stared